All right, welcome. Today on It's All Relational, we are joined by our legislative committee, which is Ashley Lacy and Ashley Haynes-Gibson. On the board, we like to refer to them as Ashley for Ashley Lacy and then Ashley HG for Ashley Haynes-Gibson. So just for the audience, that's how we're going to be referring to everyone today. So thank you so much for joining us, Ashley and Ashley HG.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor.
On top of being in the legislative committee, can you talk about what your clinical work looks like for both of you?
Yeah, thank you. So I am a board member at large and the co-chair for the legislative committee, like Trevor said. I joined WAMFT in 2018 as a graduate student and have been on the legislative committee since 2019. So I've been in the field for about 4 years now, including internship, working in community mental health, which is another important part for me in understanding systems,
right?
And how to advocate for clients and MFTs. And I've been currently I'm at Magenta Center, which is a group practice focusing on the LGBTQIA+ community, and I work with partners, individuals, and sex therapy as well. I recently became fully licensed in the beginning of January and will be moving into private practice. Yes, it's very exciting.
It is very exciting.
I went through that whole process that everyone gets to do. So
wonderful. Ashley HG, can you tell us a little more about your clinical background?
Yes, thank you so much. I have been an associate licensed marriage and family therapist for about 3 years now. I joined WAMFT as an at-large board member, I think about 2 years ago now. And I'm also a co-chair on the legislative committee. And I have my own private practice, Ashley HG Therapy, where I see individuals, couples, and families. I specialize in doing emotion-focused and attachment-oriented therapy.
Nice.
I really love systems therapy as well. So I'm excited to be here with you both.
Yeah. So obviously on top of your clinical work, you're also our legislative superheroes here for WAMFT. So, you're our Avengers.
Very kind.
Yeah. So tell us more about what you do on the legislative committee and why you were drawn to it.
Yeah, so I was originally drawn to the legislative committee. I said back in 2019, I joined. Systems and relationships as an MFT and just as an individual were and still are very important to me.
Yeah.
And I realized that the work we do in the therapy office with our clients is one way of supporting change for them and getting them more of what they're wanting in their world. But I also wanted to know how to affect and support change and advocacy at different levels, including organizationally, as in I joined community mental health as part of that, but also at a local, city, and state level. Yeah. And so I joined the legislative committee because I wanted to learn about how, as an MFT, to advocate for my clients. And then also not just our clients, but also us as professionals. And that's really what drove me. I wanted to make this a field I wanted to be in a field where it felt sustainable. I felt connected. I feel like I could affect change at multiple levels.
Yeah. Wonderful. What about you, Ashley HG?
Yeah. So I joined the legislative committee because I have an interest in changing the foster care system. So I was in foster care for 8 years, and I wanted, my original dissertation idea was to do a national prospective foster parent competency assessment. And in order to do that, I needed to better understand how the legislative process works. And then as I've been involved in the legislative committee, that passion only grew in also learning to support marriage and family therapists in our field and our clients as well through the legislative work that we do. And it's really been an honor and very exciting to see just how legislation happens.
Right. Now, there are a number of committees here for WAMFT. I believe you're the only co-chairs. So, it's kind of interesting. You're like our legislative dyad almost, right? And what's it like to work together?
What's it like? I love it.
I love working with Ashley. She's such a peach. She's wonderful. I honestly would say there are a lot of other people who work and help with us in the legislative committee.
Right.
But I would say Ashley is definitely the backbone.
Thank you. Well, and one of the reasons to get a sense of the co-chair model and why I felt this was important, we created this a few years back because there is so much, so much, it moves fast during the legislative session. It helps to have someone to talk to about what's coming up, what we might want to do around a certain legislative piece, going through the bills. And so it's really fun to be in collaboration. And I think it also helps us play to each of our strengths.
Totally. Yeah. And it's, that's the way we work as, MFTs. We're relational. We like that, kind of construct and idea. So very happy to have you both here. Now, you also work with Amber, who was on our episode last time talking about, the work that she does as our legislative advocate. Now, I wonder if you can talk about why we shifted from the former model, which was the day on the Hill, where we'd go and we would, meet with legislators, and all that, to this new 30-day hill climb. It was the first year doing that.
Yeah, I've actually been a part of I went to Olympia and participated that way, met legislators, and it was a wonderful experience. And then also, after COVID hit in 2020, shifting over to a more virtual model, and now to this 30-day hill climb that we've been doing. We did a version of it last year, and we're moving more toward it this year.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that we moved toward this is, and I think Amber mentioned this, is not everybody can take a full day off from their work, go to Olympia, or even attend an entire day of meeting with legislators. And so what this can do is it allows individuals to take the time that they need or can to do the advocacy work. And we're also hosting these educational events, the Voice Lab, to support professionals or MFTs in engaging in a way that makes sense for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So it's meeting people where they're at. It's much more accessible for any, MFTs in the state to be able to help out, contribute, make their voice heard, even if they can't make it to Olympia for, a specific day. And there's a lot of stuff that we're, doing through this, right? Obviously you're mentioning the voice labs. We're trying to kind of focus on donation for our advocacy fund as well. Ashley, you mentioned something in our board meeting that I really appreciated. You kind of challenged all of us to give an hour, right? And essentially what you're saying there is that, you may not be able to attend, all of these sessions. All of our members, they're spread across the state, may not be able to, participate for one reason or another. But if you could give an hour, even if that was financially, right, an hour of your time, whatever that's worth at this point in time, that would be really meaningful. I thought that was a really great challenge for all of us, right, to think about giving an hour while we're in the midst of this 30-day hill climb, because we do need those resources to be able to advocate. Now, as we're in the midst of this legislative session, which is going to wrap up in April, can you tell us more about what we're focusing on, what WAMFT is, prioritizing? Because we have specific bills that are going to impact us, starting this year.
Yeah, there's so much. Ashley, would you like to start?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you. So first on the docket, we have Senate House Bill 1432, which is with regard to access to mental health services.
Yes.
WAMFT is currently supporting this bill. Essentially, this is an act relating to improving access to appropriate mental health and substance use disorder services by updating Washington's mental health parity laws.
Okay.
ensuring coverage of medically necessary care.
Yeah.
So it's essentially ensuring that people in Washington are receiving robust, equitable, and streamlined insurance coverage for mental health and substance use disorder treatment, which, is, I think, more, like, what's the word?
Comorbid.
It's just like more prominent now than ever, right? Like we're seeing it show up everywhere, and I think it's very timely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So can you tell us a little more, about, why this bill is important, why maybe you are, connected to this specific piece of legislation?
Yes, I appreciate you asking. I think that this bill is really important. One, because there are a lot of folks in Washington, and not just Washington, but the United States generally, who struggle with substance use disorder. I mean, it is a mental health concern. It's not a personal issue, right? And I think oftentimes people see it that way.
Yeah.
I personally, my mom struggles with substance use disorder. She's, been addicted to methamphetamines my whole life, right? And so, you kind of wonder, like, what would have happened? How would her life look now if she had had access to equitable, affordable healthcare earlier in her life? So that's why I think this bill is really important.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, and making this kind of treatment available for people, streamlining coverage, making it so that not only people are accessing substance use, treatment, but the mental health treatment that is so essential to be able to deal with substance use disorder is essential, right? So that's really important thing for us. So that's 1432.
Yeah, and it's also they also added in a component about like holding insurance companies accountable, right? And the ability for the Office of the Insurance Commissioner to investigate or even file not charges, but like charge them a fee if they're not actually providing equitable care, which I think is also important.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Okay, so that's one that we are supporting, right? Yeah. Now, Ashley, what's another one that we are supporting here?
Yeah. So another one that we're supporting is the House Bill 1589, which is concerning the relationship between carriers and providers.
Yeah.
And so what that means is that so health carrier providers, which could be insurance is an example of that, is required to maintain adequate provider networks, therapists, doctors, hospitals, so that whoever's enrolled in that coverage can be able to access the care that they need.
Right.
That doesn't always happen in the way that our clients and just people in general are needing. And so part of what this bill does is it requires the insurance of the Office of the Insurance Commissioner, to monitor and check and see, okay, is this actually happening?
Yeah.
Are the enrollees getting the services that they need? So a checks and balance, if you will. This bill also looks at the contract relationship between the health carrier, the insurance company, and a provider. So, for example, NFTs or other mental health professionals, doctors, etc. And what it's doing is wanting to make sure that those the negotiations there are meaningful opportunities to negotiate the terms of the provider contract and in good faith. And so there's a list of ways that that this bill would be addressing those pieces. I know that a lot of us as mental health professionals, MFTs, we want our services to be accessible to clients.
Right.
And at the same time, a lot of us struggle, me included, with how do we do that? Because it takes time and lots of phone calls, and it can be confusing to contract with with these carriers,
Yeah.
with these insurance companies. And also sometimes the negotiation terms don't seem not very clear, or they the rate that they're providing is less than sustainable for us as professionals. And so this bill really looks at shifting and changing some of those pieces so that more health providers, MFTs, other providers could provide these services, contract with them, and make it more accessible to clients in general.
Right. So this seems like it's especially helpful for MFTs maybe in private practice or wanting to start their own private practice that are looking to figure out ways to, bill insurance, right? Because that's such an important thing, increasing accessibility for clients, right? Most clients don't want to pay out of pocket, right? For their, therapy services. They want to be able to use their pre-existing insurance. And if they can do that, and work with MFTs especially, right, then that is really valuable and useful. So the important thing that we're supporting to make sure that providers, right, are able to negotiate in good faith, and get the rates that are going to work for them. Right? Ashley H.G., do you have another one that we're focused on as a legislative committee?
Yes, we are also focused on House Bill 1234. And overall, this is regarding a committee for counselors, so like licensed mental health counselors, marriage and family therapists, and social workers. And the committee is now comprised of 9 members. They just updated the legislation to provide more guidelines on that. So overall, it aims to ensure broader public representation, professional balance on the committee, while also clarifying the eligibility requirements and term limits. And I really like this bill because I think this is a great way for both professionals and the public to get involved at a very basic level. Right. Even if, especially if they're interested in legislation, there are caveats to this committee. You can't be on the committee if you're currently working for the Department of Health, or if you're on a current or organizational board. And so I think it's it really opened the door for that.
Totally. And talking about increasing access, which these other bills we're talking about are going to try to achieve as well. This obviously is wonderful because it allows there to be some oversight by consumers, right? By clients, right? People that would be accessing the services are also able to participate in the legislative side of it, right? And the regulatory side. And that's really important, right? My favorite part about this bill is that it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I was also thinking about that as well. Yes, easy to remember.
Right. You were saying 1234. I just it's the easiest one to remember. Wonderful. Great. All right, now there's one more I think that we're really focused on here, Ashley.
Yeah, another one that we're focused on is this is Senate Bill 5762, which addresses increasing the statewide 98 behavioral health crisis response and suicide prevention tax, line tax. So basically what this is how do we continue to make sure that we are funding services that are supporting our clients, so again, that they're sustainable. And so that this really looks at that. And actually, I don't know if folks know this, but Washington State was one of the first states to roll out the 988 line for mental health services for crisis response and suicide prevention. And so,
in part, thanks to our, wonderful legislative advocate, Amber, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We have been supporting this bill, and with her support, from the beginning. So, since 2020.
Now, this is access to a crisis line, right? That for individuals in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So, all these bills, I think kind of the thing that really stands out to me as you talk about them is that they're all focused on allowing clients to access services in a much more streamlined, easy way. It seems like that is the primary focus of our legislative agenda this year.
yes, allowing that, and then also continuing to, yes, and protecting that as well, making sure that that they continue to get the services they need, and that professionals or mental health professionals are able to also provide those. So yeah.
It's a really wonderful kind of agenda, right? Because it is so timely, where we need services now more than ever. And I think that's really valuable, that's our focus, right, legislatively. Now, I think that there was some talk about shield laws as well, Ashley.
Yes, definitely. So right now, with what is happening at the federal level, a lot of states are looking at how do we continue to protect our providers, our clinicians, so that if they are providing services that are legal in our state, if, for example, another someone who is a resident of, say, Idaho, which has different laws, comes over to Washington, how can that client, that their whatever services they're asking for that are legal in, for example, Washington, remain confidential, and also so that the provider who's providing legal services in the state of Washington is not
liable.
Law
They
enforcement
wouldn't be able to be sued or arrested or anything like that, right?
You got it. And so in 2023, the legislature passed a shield law concerning access to reproductive health care services, gender affirming treatment, etc. Protected health care services in Washington. And so there's another bill, Senate Bill 5632, that would like to, or that would extend and protect even further the confidentiality of records and information, and then also defines what assistance would be if someone is helping or aiding or supporting someone receiving protected health services. So it's really intended to extend the protections for those receiving services and the providers providing those services.
Absolutely, right? So you would be able to operate within the legal parameters of your state without there being concern about, being sued by family members or, folks outside of the state, right? That would have to be stakeholders in whatever your client's case was. That seems like a very important one. And it seems like, obviously folks are drawn to legislation because they care about, how these laws impact everyone's daily life, right? This is why, people are upset by things happening on the federal level right now. And these sorts of things that we're doing from an advocacy perspective, are really, tangible ways to see change happening, right? That affects all of us as therapists, right? And our clients. And so it seems like if you're dealing with frustration, like many of us are, if you're dealing with pain, if you're dealing with, feeling anxious about what's going on a federal level, and there's a feeling of that being outside of your control, this is a very specific, and clear way that you can get involved with a legislative process that would have a huge impact on you and your community.
Yeah, I agree. It's really easy for us to get caught up, and it's important in what's going on at the federal and the national level.
Sure.
And we have more ability to affect change at a state and or a local level. And so really focusing those efforts can not only make change, but also provide us some hope that maybe we otherwise, I don't know, sometimes it can feel like there's just so much. It's so overwhelming sometimes.
Right. But these are very specific things that touch on issues that are important to everybody that people have been talking about, right? Gender affirming care, obviously, reproductive rights, things that have been, debated and discussed that have been impacted by decisions on a federal level that we can get involved with and help with right now. It's a meaningful thing, the work you're doing. Now, I wonder here, as we're moving forward, right? We're in the middle of this 30-day hill climb, right? We're halfway up the mountain. What are ways that WAMFT members can get involved? How can we help?
Yeah. So I think there's two different phases of this, right? In addition to attending the Voice Lab events, if they can't attend those, some things that they can do to be more involved would be to contact their legislator, to stay tuned to calls to action, to donate to the advocacy fund, attending WAMFT events, and then also, getting involved with the legislative committee.
Yes, right. So there's room. You got room in your, Avengers ship for some more superheroes.
Yes, come to the dark side. We have cookies.
I guess I'm mixing metaphors here because you're the legislative dyad. There's the family has more room too, to adopt more members. Ashley, Lacy, can you tell me a little more about the Voice Labs?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. The Voice Labs, we have 3 of them. We already had one last week.
Okay,
there
great.
are 2 more sessions, 2 more opportunities coming up. And what these do, apart from being a free advocacy, so if you're needing advocacy,
that's nice.
This is a great opportunity. It's free. Yeah. In addition to being that, it is also an opportunity to learn about how to be an advocate, brush up on that if you already know, but also what are some of the main principles? How do you do it? It will break those pieces down. It talks about overall the legislative process. So if you're a little bit fuzzy on it, it's a great way to do that. The self-advocate piece, kind of exploring that, looks at more tangible, talks more about the bills. So wherever we are next week on these bills, you can get updates on that as well. And then it looks at how do you go through the process of finding your legislator? How do you send a letter? What are other ways that you can advocate? So it really goes through that process. So at the end of the hour, you'll have a letter that you can send regarding whichever legislation that you're excited about, what your focus is. And there's some opportunity as well to talk to others and see what they're excited about or interested in.
Right.
So,
and these are virtual events that people can attend. They're an hour long. And that's an exciting way to get involved, right? Now with the advocacy fund, like I talked about at the beginning, right, Ashley, you were kind of, encouraging us to give an hour, right? Give an hour of our time, whether that's through advocacy work, if you don't have the financial resources, or through financial resources, or both, right? And right now the goal is $3,000. That's what we're trying to raise during this 30-day hill climb. I believe we're at 1,100 as of today, so that's good. We're on our way. We're climbing, but we need people to open up their pocketbooks and donate more, right, so that we can continue to meet these goals that we have and do the essential legislation. That's a huge part of why we exist, right? As a organization, to be able to legislate. So that's an important thing for people to do as well.
Agreed. Yes. Yeah. And like you said, even if you can, in any way that you're able to support, we would love you to. And if it's that hour, perfect. We are almost halfway there. We can definitely make it. We're halfway up our climb. We're almost halfway to our goal. Help us get to that 3,000 so that we can continue doing the work that we do to support you all.
So, Ashley HG, can you tell us a little more about what we can do beyond the 30-day hill climb? Because, we're almost to the top of that mountain.
Yes, I can. So in addition to some of the things that we mentioned earlier, you can also sign up for notifications with the Department of Health as a licensed counselor. Those notifications are very helpful. Ashley and I have attended meetings with the department specifically because we've received those. So that's another way you can get involved.
Right.
Providing feedback to the advisory committee. Also showing up to implementation meetings for bills. Those are really important. We try to include these in the e-news, but they don't always make it in. So you can also sign up for updates with that with the Department of Health. Also, you can be involved in like local city council meetings, like like for example, Kevin from the WAMFT conference when we did that legislative panel, he's involved in like Ballard's local city council.
Nice. Yeah.
As an MFT, and so you can become involved in that. You can also email us at the legislative committee with any questions or concerns that you have. You can also contact the office of the insurance commissioner and continue to attend workshops and CE events around advocacy and legislation. And you can also join the community cafe event that Astrid has been hosting.
Right.
That was very helpful, and it was very pertinent to the insurance conversation because a lot of the MFTs in that meeting expressed concern around that. And so,
yeah, wonderful. Well,
anything else, Ashley? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that at these, so as co-chairs of the legislative committee, we try to attend all of the Department of Health events so that we are representing WAMFT and the implementation events as well. And it's important to have other voices as well. So we would appreciate you joining.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for being on the show today. Really appreciate all of the depth and detail you're able to go into around these so that we know and we can really wrap our arms around what we're focused on. And it's exciting because we're going to learn soon, how successful we were. So I'm excited to have you back on, at the end of our climb, at the end of the legislative session to debrief how it went.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We've enjoyed it.
Thank you. You guys can see my cat. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you so much for joining us today. As Ashley and Ashley mentioned, there are a few more ways to get involved here during the 30-day hill climb. We have the WAMFT Voice Lab. There's 2 more of those on March 6th, which is Thursday, from 5:30 to 6:30, and Wednesday, March 19th, from 12 to 1. These are free, they're on Zoom, and you get an hour of law and ethics Cs for attending, so go ahead and check those out. We also are still trying to reach that $3,000 donation goal, so check out our website advocacy page, and you can find a link to donate there. And while you're there, make sure you're checking the advocacy page often for updates, because that gets updated by Ashley and Ashley to show when we're having legislative success, update our legislative priorities, and give you a sense of how your work and impact is making a difference. Thank you so much for joining today. Make sure you follow, tell all your friends about It's All Relational, and check back in every 2 weeks for new episodes.